presidents of the banks and everybody gotten together, and they said that we want you to set up a network, I would say today as a supply chain network, linking 6,500 bank branches at that time in 1985. 6,500 bank branches between the 5 nationalized banks of Pakistan. We wanted linked by an overnight service across the country, from Gwadar to Gilgit. And can any of you do it? And well, that was too much to comprehend. We hadn't even thought it was possible. And just as we were leaving the room, they said one more thing: we don't have any budget for it. It'll have to be done at the lowest possible cost because he has told us to do this. Government hasn't given us a budget, and in any case, there's nothing we can promise between now and September. So you come and tell us how much it will cost to do that. We went back home. At that time, rarely it comes in a lifetime. You can look at it as something insurmountable. A company 2 years old, no capital base. How can you take a challenge like this? The other companies, which were foreign companies, they didn't have that kind of a commitment to make into this country. And we discussed it, and they had asked us to come after a week. When we went a week, I was the only one there. And they said, would you do it? I said, "We'll give us a chance. We'll try." Now, the short story is, we tried, we succeeded. We did not succeed. It took us 2 or 3 years in going to the 6,500 network. But what happened for the company was that we had by then a countrywide network, which no other organization had at that time. And Dr. Mahbubul Haq, one of the old speeches of those days, he said that what has happened through this service to the country is that this amount of money that used to take 2 to 3 weeks unproductive now gets utilized by so many times more, so it is good for the economic productivity of the country. So that was the kind of a significance of this task at a national level. Now, the reason I spent some time on this is just to explain to you the evolution in banking and what we call supply chains at this time. The second thing that came was at the time when the credit card was to be launched in the country, and the credit card needed safe delivery of credit cards. Also critically needed that the statements and the bills and the statements must be, there must be some place and some mechanism for them to get the statements back. At that time also, they came. Okay, so, all right. I've got 5 minutes left. I'll wrap it up in the next 5 minutes. So across banking, telecommunications, education, pharma. The telecommunications, what we are doing is now all the 3 tiers. For the large telecommunication companies in the country, we are not only delivering things like their scratch cards, but we are also collecting cash from, at the present moment, about 40,000 small outlets at this time in Sindh and Lower Punjab. But this is likely to go to much beyond as we get the countrywide contract. So it is not only just the transportation of physical transportation, but also cash and information. In the field of information logistics, TCS has made some very major investments in a state-of-the-art technology, whereby from large customers, like the banks, like the utility companies, we electronically extract information for their billing cycles, for the statements, and we print those statements in millions at our facilities, on their stationery, but on our facilities, and we distribute them. It helps them in their cash flows. And in the field of education, not just transportation of, just 2 examples. In the field of education, besides the Citizens Foundations, whose over 800 outlets, we transport their books and their training material free of cost as a social service. But another aspect, when 800 and something, some schools had to be equipped with computers imported from abroad. Those computers, software loading on those computers was done in our warehouses before we delivered them. And then we also went and commissioned them in those outlets. So what I'm saying is that so far as the supply chain diagram that I showed you, TCS has the uniqueness, I think, of supplementing and completing the supply chain solution for the customers. Well, e-commerce is another initiative where the greatest constraint to the development of e-commerce in the country is that e-commerce, where payments have to be made for goods purchased online, you can only pay through your credit card. And there are just an X number of people who have the credit card and who would use it. TCS opens up the payments options to them. That TCS gives options of payment. Our couriers can go and collect the payments right from you. You can go and visit one of our 500 shops, or we can do cash on delivery. So once the payment options are open up, it exponentially explores the possibilities. I'll just move on now to this is the present. I just want a little bit of a glimpse into the future. And here I want to just say that the future supply chains will not just be the linear supply chains. The future supply chains are the future on which I want you to be thinking about, and here I want a change of the mindset. I'll take a couple of minutes on that. And there's a Business Recorder article, I think it's the newspaper of the 30th of March, 2012. And the reason I brought it here is just to demonstrate to you that the last line of this article says something which is very educational for us. It's an article on why the mobile remittances are not really taking, have leveled off, but it says that as much as it is about pricing and marketing the service right, it is equally important to create a vibrant domestic mobile money ecosystem so that a certain degree of utility and functionality gets associated with this channel. By ecosystem, we mean that ecosystem is when around that possibility. Now, if people can receive money on the mobile phones, they must also know what to do with it. They should have some kind of an opportunity to spend that money. TCS's e-commerce platforms will work well to enable the people to use that money. And that is basically building out an entire ecosystem. In building